I had obeyed my brother all my life, and yet I secretly dated his sworn enemy for 3 years. Bruno was known for being wild and rebellious in our circle, but he was devoted to me, and yet he never wanted to go public. When his friends asked why, he smirked, "Because I don't love Selena. Being with her is just to get revenge on her brother and stand up for my sister. That's why on my birthday, I'm going to dump her hard, make both of them a joke." So on that grand birthday banquet, under everyone's eyes, I didn't show up. Instead, I left for a marriage alliance in Hong Kong. On my wedding day, Bruno rushed to crash the ceremony, dusty, desperate, but he was blocked outside the gates. He begged security to let him in, saying he was the bride's boyfriend. But when he flipped through his phone, he couldn't find a single photo of us together. Chapter 1. Just to stand up for your sister? Bruno exhaled smoke, eyes dark and cold. She was humiliated when he rejected her, heartbroken enough to flee abroad, even refused my confession. Isn't that pain enough? His friend gasped. Bruno, are you insane? How can you like your sister? We're not related by blood. In the swirl of smoke, Bruno's expression blurred. Why can't I like her? But what did Selena ever do wrong? It was her brother who rejected your sister. What does that have to do with her? You can't take it out on her. Besides, you pursued her for 2 years, dated her for 3. You spoiled her, loved her. I thought your birthday was going to be a proposal. Bruno fell silent. When the cigarette burned low, he crushed it out and sneered. If I didn't act convincingly, how could I make her fall for me? Only by pushing her off the cliff when she's at her happiest. Can she truly feel what my sister felt? I bit down on my trembling lip, eyes stinging with tears. The friend frowned, his voice tinged with regret. Are you really going to do this? You won't regret it. Bruno picked up his wine glass, voice cold. Never. I lowered my eyes. A flower petal drifted down. It landed with a tear on the floor. No wonder he never wanted to go public all those years. Turns out, he already had someone in his heart. What I thought was love returned, was just a carefully laid trap. At that moment, I didn't even have the urge to confront him. No arguments, no tears, no accusations. Why give him the satisfaction of seeing my pain? I turned around and left, leaving behind the gift I had prepared for him. Chapter 2. When I got home, I ran into my brother, who had just returned from a business trip to Hong Kong. Why are your eyes so red? He asked with concern. I lowered my head and wiped them. The wind was strong outside. On the couch, he said, I heard you're going to Hong Kong for your PhD. So, have you considered Ethan from Hong Kong again? Ethan's a good man, handpicked by your own brother. You can trust me. He'd mentioned this marriage alliance before. I never agreed to it. Because of Bruno. Because I believed in marrying for love. But now, I no longer dare to think that way. Maybe it's better to marry someone familiar. Someone stable, even without love. At least there won't be lies or betrayal. I'll have time to focus on my studies. Our parents will feel at ease. I had thought it through. Brother, I agree to the marriage. Really? He sounded excited. Then I'll talk to Ethan's family right away. Back in my room, I packed up every gift Bruno had given me over the years. As I was about to toss them into the storage room, my brother knocked. Next Friday, we're heading to Hong Kong. That day just happened to be Bruno's birthday. Chapter 3. The next day, I was at home organizing the materials I needed to take with me. By the afternoon, Bruno called and asked if I wanted to go out. It was noisy on his end. I heard boarding announcements. He was probably at the airport. When I declined, he seemed slightly relieved. Then stay home and eat properly. Don't skip meals. Got it? So caring, so convincing. Later that day, my brother's friend texted, asking me to pick him up. My own car was in the shop, so I used my brother's. I followed the room number and gently opened the door, only to see Bruno holding a girl intimately, playing the paper-tearing game with their mouths. His hands rested on her waist, his smile full of flirtatious charm. Around them, people cheered. Kiss! Kiss! Bruno removed the paper and frowned slightly, but the girl leaned in closer, just a breath away from kissing him. Then he turned his head slightly, and our eyes met. All eyes turned to me. There was a flicker of panic in his gaze. I lowered mine. Sorry, wrong room. I closed the door and had just walked a few steps when Bruno dragged me into an empty room. In the dim light, he pinned me, tilting my chin up. Jealous? I shook my head. It's not what you think. That's my sister. It was just a game. Come on, give your hubby a kiss? He leaned down with a laugh, but I turned away before his lips met mine, broke free from his arms. My brother's waiting. The door opened. The girl covered her mouth in shock. Bruno, you too. She was his non-blood related sister, Emma. Bruno looked at me for a few seconds, then walked over to her. Had too much to drink. Wrong room. I don't know this lady well. Emma smiled and looped her arm through his. Everyone's waiting for you. I didn't say a word. Didn't even look at him. I simply walked out. As we passed, Bruno instinctively reached for my hand, but stopped midway. His fingers curled into a fist. Chapter 4. In the car, my drunk brother turned into a chatterbox. He started talking about everything, from our childhood to the time I went to Hong Kong for graduate school 5 years ago. I'm sorry, Selena. I shouldn't have opposed you back then. If I hadn't, you wouldn't have run so far away or shut everyone out. Back then, he insisted I study business so I could help with the family company. But I wasn't interested. I wanted to keep doing research. Alone in a strange city, in an unfamiliar environment. That's when Bruno showed up. He understood me, supported me, and saw through me. I wanted to take that step toward him, but then I remembered how he and my brother became enemies over a business deal. So I gently turned him down, but he didn't give up. He chased me for 2 years, even when I was cold. He always smiled and said, Selena, you're worth being loved like this. Don't feel sorry for me. The one who falls first always gives more. It's what I'm willing to do. Later, he once risked his life to save me. That's what made me finally reach out and hold his hand. Back then he said, for you, I wouldn't even fear death. But now he says, if I didn't act convincingly, how could she fall for me? A sharp pain pierced my chest. In my daze, the car swerved and drove straight onto the flower bed. Chapter 5. Luckily, it was our own flower bed, so no one was hurt. My brother hit his head, leaving a big bruise. He sighed seriously. Before you leave, it's better you don't drive anymore. I lowered my head like a guilty quail. Sorry, bro. I'll take it in for repairs. After dropping the car off at the shop, I thought maybe I should buy him a new one to make up for it. Just as I walked into the lobby, I heard Emma's voice. It's fine. I can test drive in heels too. She was sitting on the sofa. Bruno was crouched beside her, gently holding her ankle as he helped unfasten the strap, like she was something precious. His voice was firm and caring. No way. What if you twist your ankle? What if you get hurt? After taking off her heels, he helped her into flats. I brought these for you when we left the house. Emma mumbled a protest, but the smile at the corners of her mouth gave her away. Bruno, you really are the best little brother. Bruno paused for a second, frowning slightly. I gave a soft laugh in my heart. He definitely doesn't want to be your little brother. You're so sweet. Your girlfriend must be so happy. Emma used his shoulder for support as she stood up. Bruno was still crouching, lost in thought. Then he pulled out his phone. A moment later, I got a message. It was from him. Baby, I have a match tomorrow. Come. I have a surprise for you. Chapter 6. By the time I arrived at the racetrack, the competition was about to start. Bruno had arranged for me to sit next to Emma. On the track, he wore a black racing suit, tall, lean, muscles defined. He was the brightest presence on the field. I looked away, and a hand suddenly reached out in front of me. What a coincidence. We meet again. I'm Emma, Bruno's sister. I looked down at her hand. The tattoo on her wrist looked all too familiar. Hello, Selena. She smiled slightly, a smile tinged with implication. I had done some digging on her these past few days. She was Bruno's adopted sister, 2 years older than him. Their parents were always busy, so they grew up side by side. It wasn't surprising they developed feelings, but she had gone abroad after graduating high school, and only recently returned. Bruno was the one who picked her up that day. He had finally reunited with the one he truly loved, and I was ready to start a new life. He's so hot. A shrill scream pulled me back from my thoughts. After Bruno crossed the finish line, he took off his helmet, pressed his index and middle fingers to his lips, and blew a kiss into the air. Emma chuckled, so childish, as if the kiss had been blown to her. Holding the trophy, Bruno looked over the crowd in our direction, smiling. I love this summer, just like I love her, the crowd roared. But I froze. I looked down at the tattoo on Emma's wrist, exactly like Bruno's. I had accompanied him when he got it. The day after we became a couple, he had rubbed my hand and pouted. I'm scared of the pain. Can you stay with me? I pointed to the design he'd picked and asked, what does it mean? Love you forever. He'd replied. He pulled me into his lap, loosened his collar, raised an eyebrow. I'll tattoo it on my collarbone. So every time you kiss me, you'll see it when you look down. No. I had blushed and refused immediately. He laughed. Then how about the wrist? I looked closely at the pattern. It didn't look like English. He hesitated, eyes shifting. French, France, where Emma studied abroad. I pulled out my phone, found the race photo, and uploaded the letters into an image search tool. Liar. That French phrase didn't mean love you forever. It meant no one like you. I closed my eyes. A chill washed over me. Just then, Emma said, he said he'd win the trophy as a welcome gift for my return. He really meant it. Backstage, while everyone cheered and joked, I quietly checked the base of the trophy. The words for Emma only were engraved there, burning into my eyes. So this grand confession was all for her. Yet he had said it was a surprise for me. I smiled silently, and quietly slipped away from the noisy celebration. Chapter 7. 3 days left before I leave. Bruno had been busy fawning over Emma, barely contacting me. I hadn't reached out to him either, seeing that I'd packed everything. My brother wanted to cheer me up before I left, so he dragged me along with his friends to watch a meteor shower. There was a telescope on the hotel rooftop. You could see the trail of the Milky Way. The moment I stepped onto the rooftop, I saw Emma and Bruno. He stood behind her, arms loosely around her waist, the two of them gazing at the stars together through the telescope. From behind me, my brother called out, Selena, come help me play a few hands. Just as he spoke, Bruno suddenly turned around. I didn't look at his face. I slowly made my way down the stairs. Surprisingly, I felt calm. So calm it even startled me. My phone kept vibrating. It was probably Bruno. I ignored it and kept playing cards. Everyone had watched me grow up, and they were especially kind to me, chatting and joking here and there. After a phone call, my brother returned to take his seat. One of the older guys casually asked, Selena's really leaving? My brother nodded. Yeah. I gotta say, I'm really going to miss her. As soon as he said that, we heard what sounded like a glass shattering outside the door. Chapter 8. When I walked out of the room, Bruno was standing at the door. Without a word, he grabbed my hand and pulled me downstairs, deep into the woods. He only let go once we were completely alone. Leaving? His voice was cold, his expression dark. Where do you think you're going? Not wanting any drama before leaving, I answered vaguely. I got into a PhD program. I'll be going to Port City for further studies. His clenched fists slowly relaxed, clearly relieved. I thought, never mind, that's good. Then, I didn't care about his ever-changing moods. I turned to leave. I'm going back to find my brother, but he blocked my way and dragged me forward. We walked through the woods until it suddenly opened up. Fairy lights shaped like stars were strung across the clearing, twinkling softly. In the middle, the lights spelled out my initials. I was going to bring you here tomorrow. He said, do you like it? I quietly looked around. It was indeed romantic, but I knew this kind of romantic setup had never been meant for me in the first place. Bruno took out a paper and pen from his bag. This is a time capsule. Write down your wishes for the future. We'll bury it here and dig it up in 3 or 5 years to see if they came true. I took the paper and pen. Thinking for a moment, Bruno turned his back, writing carefully, stroke by stroke. By the time he turned around, I had already tucked my note into the capsule. That fast? His beautiful peach blossom eyes stared at me with fake tenderness. What did you write? You'll find out then. He didn't push it. He wrapped his arms around my waist and whispered, "Aren't you curious what I wrote?" "What did you write?" He kissed me and smiled. "It's about you, about us." I covered my mouth, feeling a little nauseous. Bruno thought I was touched. "Have you ever imagined our future?" I shook my head. His expression immediately darkened. "You don't want to be with me forever?" I crouched down, burying the capsule as I answered casually. "Who can really predict the future? We've been together for 3 years. Our relationship's so stable, what's there to question?" "Bruno, stop acting like you even believe your own lies." After covering the capsule, I patted the soil down. He suddenly threw his arm around my shoulders and pointed to the sky. "Look, the meteor shower's starting." I looked up. Meteors streaked across the sky. Stars flickered. The galaxy was vast and boundless. In this infinite universe, we were so small. I thought of a quote. "When the night gets dark enough, even the faintest stars shine brightly." Once Bruno passed through my life, my sky would brighten on its own. I smiled faintly, just then. Bruno lifted his phone and pressed the shutter. That night, he posted a vague moment on social media, reversed the lens, pointed at the love between us, but he didn't attach a picture. Chapter 9. I didn't expect Emma to come find me. She stirred her coffee slowly, only raising her eyes after a while. "I know about your relationship with Bruno." I didn't respond, knowing she would continue. "People in love, eye contact. Body language, you can tell at a glance." She paused, then looked at me directly. "But he never shows your face in his social media posts. And he's never wanted to go public. Do you know why?" Under the table, I clenched my fingers tightly. She smiled. 5 years ago, I told him I might never learn how to love. He got angry, anxious, then he chose to chase you. He was about to give up after 2 years, but confessed again only because I told him that day I had a boyfriend. He did it out of spite. I suddenly remembered that day. We were celebrating New Year's at Victoria Harbor. There were too many people. It almost turned into a stampede. Bruno had rushed against the crowd to pull me out of the chaos. That night, a drunk man came to my apartment door with a knife. I was terrified and nearly broke down. And Bruno, he happened to be downstairs. He ran up and drove the man away, injuring his shoulder in the process. While I was bandaging him, he was the one comforting me, despite the pain. "It's okay, don't cry." At that moment, I heard my heartbeat racing. That's when I agreed to be with him. Turns out, he had exploited the misattribution of arousal to trap me, targeting my vulnerability with precision. He wasn't downstairs to protect me. He had just heard Emma was with someone else, and was heartbroken. Now the veil was lifted, and the truth stood bare, even though I tried to suppress it. The pain throbbed from deep within. "He stayed with you for 3 years just to force me to compromise and break up," Emma said calmly. "Selena, saying more will only make this more humiliating for you." She took a sip of coffee and gave me a confident smile. "We're both smart. You should know who Bruno cares about the most. Instead of waiting to be dumped, walk away first, preserve a bit of dignity." My palm tightened, the pain spread through my chest. It felt like something was pounding against my heart, tearing it open, then shattering it piece by piece. I bit back the ache, forced a smile, and said, "If you were really that sure about Bruno, you wouldn't have come to see me. You think he belongs to you, but somehow he's slipping out of your control. You push him away piece by piece, and now you can't stand the fact that you're just a foster daughter." Emma, greedy people always end up with nothing. Chapter 10. Her hand trembled, spilling much of the coffee. "Are you okay?" Bruno rushed to her side. He didn't even glance at me, just looked down at her hand. "Sis, did you get burned?" I composed myself and stood up. Bruno suddenly grabbed the sleeve of my shirt, as if instinctively trying to stop me. But then, remembering that we were supposedly not close, he quickly let go. Emma gently reassured him. "Why are you panicking? I'm not a child." Maybe his concern gave her confidence. I had only taken a few steps when she suddenly called out, "Selena, let's talk again next time." The moment Bruno turned his head slightly to glance at me, she gave me a slow, taunting smile. Leaving the cafe, I ducked into the restroom. My stomach was churning, nausea hitting hard. I retched for a long time, but only managed to squeeze out a few tears. leaning against the door. I tried to piece together the shattered bits of my heart. When I came out, Bruno was still there. He handed me a cup of brown sugar ginger tea, his tone scolding. Cold coffee again? Just wait till your stomach acts up. After buckling my seatbelt, he pinched my cheek. What did you two talk about? Why do you look so pale? I stared at him deeply. If you love Emma, why mess with me? You wove a net of tenderness, carefully ensnaring me, letting me drown in your warmth and sweet words, just to wait for the right moment to trap me and toss me into the depths. Then you'd watch me struggle, fall apart, like a victor savoring their win. But what did I do wrong? It felt like ants were gnawing away at me. The irritation inside grew like a snowball, until it finally burst. I turned and gripped Bruno's neck with all my strength, as if I wanted to strangle him. If you're dead, you can't lie anymore. He didn't fight back, just looked at me with red eyes, as if he'd rather die by my hand than see me upset, until the veins on his forehead bulged, until the scent of Emma on his body reached my nose. I snapped back to reality and released him. The next second, he pulled me into a tight hug, his voice trembling. Do you feel better now? What happened, Selena? He cupped my face and gently wiped the tears I hadn't even noticed falling. Don't cry. It hurts me to see you cry. I slowly stopped, turning my face away. Bruno, let's not go public anymore. His face froze, panic flashing in his eyes. Why? Because I'm breaking up with you, Selena. I love you. I want to show you off to the world. He rushed to explain. On my birthday. I promise I'll make it public. Just wait for me, okay? Wait for you to turn me and my brother into a laughingstock? I'm sorry for making you feel like a secret all these years. Selena, please believe me. I love you. But how could someone who truly loved me be so cruel to trample on my heart? That night, when I got home, I received a text from Emma. Love you? You didn't really believe that, did you? As long as I want him, he'll always be mine. Attached was a photo of the two of them lying on the same bed. Chapter 11. The day before I left, Bruno kept going over the birthday party plan with me. You have no idea how happy I am. But he was about to be disappointed. Because tomorrow, I wouldn't be showing up at all. He didn't notice my distraction and gently slid his fingers between mine. Baby, I've thought about our future. I hadn't. He lowered his gaze. I started thinking about it 5 years ago when I first chased after you. So, this really had been a long-planned revenge all along. You were so cold back then, no matter how hard I tried. You were unmoved. He spoke in a raspy voice, as if reminiscing. There were so many people going after you. Sometimes I was terrified you'd say yes to someone else and I'd lose my chance. But luckily, you saw me. Thank you for choosing me, Selena. I dream of marrying you. Bruno, you've gone too deep into your own act. Don't lie to yourself too. For dinner, he insisted on cooking. While he was in the kitchen, I opened my phone and organized all the evidence I'd gathered, voice recordings, photos, everything. From the kitchen, he called out, Selena, come taste this. He stood there with a ladle, an eager smile on his face. Before I could get up, his phone rang. When he walked out, he had already taken off his apron, his voice anxious. My sister was in a car accident. I need to check on her. Just before leaving, he turned and gently cupped my face. Will you be okay eating alone? I'll be fine. He leaned down and kissed my forehead, looking at me with affection. Baby, you're being so good today. I have to be. Otherwise, how could I get rid of you and erase all traces of myself? After he left, I called a cleaning service to help clear out everything that belonged to me. They were thorough, didn't even leave a single strand of hair behind. I finally felt a wave of relief. But then a message from Emma came in, just a tiny scratch on my hand. And he's fussing over me like crazy. Did he ever treat you like this? In the attached video, Bruno was gently applying ointment to her hand, blowing softly on it to soothe the pain. I smiled. At this rate, the wound would be fully healed soon anyway. Chapter 12. After returning from Bruno's house, I packed up all the gifts he had given me and sent them via courier to the venue of his birthday party. He'll receive them tomorrow. We're taking a private flight in the early morning. At exactly 10 p.m., Bruno called me. Drunk. Selena. I really want to see you. I handed my luggage to my brother. Take this first. I'll meet you after I wrap something up. What is it? Nothing important. Just something I need to finish. Bruno was lying on the couch. In the dim light, his eyelashes quivered. As soon as I approached, he wrapped his arms around my waist, nuzzling against me like a puppy. He slurred words like baby and wifey. He rambled about the surprise he had for me tomorrow. How much he loved me. How he wanted to marry me. Drunk, yet still performing. I pulled away. I felt nothing. After he calmed down, I took his phone and unlocked it with his fingerprint. When I opened his gallery, I froze. Over 1,000 photos. Half of them were of Emma, especially during the 2 years he pursued me. He kept showing up for me, while also running to Emma with the same devotion. He took her to see autumn leaves, sunsets, strolled through romantic French streets, tons of candid shots of her back. Even the gifts I thought he picked out with care? They were Emma's discards. I thought I'd feel angry, hurt, betrayed. Unexpectedly, I was calm. I scrolled through them, recording everything. Then I found the only 3 photos we had together. The first, when I agreed to be his girlfriend, he took a selfie, our faces close, saying his dream came true. The second, my first birthday with him, I was making a wish over the cake. Near midnight, he'd whistled from outside. I opened the window and saw him downstairs, looking mischievous. We ran through the summer night, and I made my first birthday wish. The third, when we watched the meteor shower under the stars, he pulled me close and snapped the picture. He said, "This is me with the one I love most." Without hesitation, I deleted them, emptied the trash too. Then I opened his messaging app. Emma was pinned. I, on the other hand, was muted, expressionless. I deleted every chat. His phone was now clean. No trace I ever existed. Now I finally understood the beauty of a secret relationship. Even the breakup can disappear without a sound. Chapter 13. Just as I was about to lock the screen, some strange impulse made me open his notes app. It was filled with detailed records of Emma's preferences. 3 years ago, he wrote, "I'm not content being just your little brother. Emma, why won't you just look back at me? Since you're so heartless, I'll just go be with someone else." So much for pure affection or devoted pursuit. I was just his second best choice. Just a tool in their emotional chess game. I took a photo of the note and placed his phone back beside him. When I stood to leave, Bruno grabbed my wrist. "Selena, don't go." He was sleep-talking. I pried his hand away. "Goodbye, Bruno, for good." He murmured, "Selena, will you marry me?" Suddenly, I remembered our 3rd year together. I had secretly traveled to Port City with him. Behind my brother's back, fireworks blossomed over Victoria Harbor. He held me close and whispered, "Selena, I'm so in love with you." We were young and deeply in love. I had said, "Bruno, swear to me you'll never lie to me. If you do, I'll leave you." He cupped my face and said, "I could barely love you more. How could I ever lie to you?" What a performance. As I prepared to leave, I took one last look at Bruno's house. Once I was sure I hadn't left anything behind, I closed the door. Then, I deleted all his contact info. Chapter 14. The moment the plane took off, it felt like all my emotions vanished with the roar of the engines. Love, hate, they were just fleeting chapters in life. It's really okay. Everyone loves the wrong person sometimes, cries for no reason, falls apart unexpectedly, but none of that should stop us from enjoying sunsets and gentle breezes. Ending a failed relationship is a rite of passage. It'll all pass. Just another experience to add to life's story. I smiled in relief. I turned to my brother. Before the engagement, "I want to meet Ethan alone." My parents had suggested it long ago, but I was too focused on school and too entangled with Bruno. 5 years ago, when I came to Port City for school, Ethan's family offered to look after me. I politely declined. I wanted to learn independence. The last time I saw Ethan, I was 15. His family had returned to honor their ancestors, and we spent that summer playing together. After that, we lost touch. My brother reassured me that Ethan's character would never allow me to suffer in marriage. But since I agreed to the engagement, I felt I owed him the truth about my past. I also told him that my heart had healed. My wounds had closed. I had cleared away the irrelevant people. I was ready to be faithful. If he minded, that was okay too. Nothing was set in stone yet. After I finished, Ethan's brow twitched slightly. He looked at me, a faint smile on his lips. We're 27. It's normal to have been in love before. Then he added, Selena, no one in my family has ever divorced. If the husband cheats or strays, the wife can seize all his assets. What? He looked at me, lips curved in a small smirk. So if you agree to marry me, there's no backing out. My fingers curled. I looked up into his eyes. And if, after marrying me, you fall for someone else? Ethan's voice was soft but firm. Selena, there is no if. For the rest of my life, until I grow old and die, I will only love you. My face burned. He smiled, stood, and held out his hand. Then let's get to know each other again. Miss Selena. Chapter 15. Selena's phone still wouldn't go through. Bruno looked frustrated, his brows tightly furrowed. He took a deep drag of his cigarette and glanced at the carefully prepared birthday party. He had commissioned someone to draw Selena's profile and placed it in the most prominent spot. She'd see it the moment she walked in. Besides that, there were countless other elements he'd meticulously planned to create a sense of ceremony. Inside, it was lively, but the person he wanted to see wasn't there. Actually, he had sensed something was wrong that morning. Every year, Selena would send a birthday message right after midnight, or sneak over just to see him, even if just for a moment. She'd smile with curved eyes. It's my boyfriend's birthday, I have to be the first to wish him. But last night, Selena hadn't stayed with him, and by the next morning, he still hadn't received any message. He opened his phone, trying to find her contact, but was overwhelmed by a flood of birthday wishes. It scrambled his thoughts. Bruno reassured himself, maybe she was already on the way. Time ticked by. Selena still hadn't come. He grew increasingly restless and tugged at his tie. Suddenly, noise came from outside. He immediately walked out, hoping to take her hand. But it was Emma. You? He couldn't hide his disappointment. Emma's smile froze on her face, but she still asked, unwilling to give up. Then who were you expecting? Selena. He only wanted Selena. Chapter 16. Lately, Bruno had felt that something was off with Selena. She used to cling to him like glue every time they met. They say physical affection stems from genuine desire. When you really like someone, you just want to be close to them all the time. But ever since Emma came back, Selena had changed. She'd become quiet, withdrawn. She no longer took the initiative to be intimate. Sometimes, when Bruno looked at her, it felt like there was this invisible distance between them, like they were worlds apart. What the hell happened? He couldn't figure it out. But one thing was certain, he truly wanted to make it official. He remembered how Selena cried in his arms. Heartbroken. It twisted his chest with pain. He realized then, he genuinely hated seeing her hurt. He'd had nightmares about humiliating her at his birthday party. In his dream, she stood there, lost and broken, eventually bursting into tears, gritting her teeth and asking why he treated her that way, what she had done wrong. His breathing turned erratic as he tried to explain. But in the dream, she just looked at him coldly and said, Bruno, we're done. You disgust me. He'd wake up drenched in sweat. So today, he really was going to propose. He even had the wedding dress ready. A group of designers had spent 6 sleepless months completing it. He chuckled bitterly. If he truly wanted to embarrass her, why would he have prepared a surprise with so much care? Just to make her happy? Last night, after taking Emma to the hospital, he left right away. Selena was still waiting for him at home. Emma grabbed his arm. You like Selena, don't you? He raised an eyebrow slightly. Emma stood up, trying to hide it. I can tell. He suddenly laughed. So, she could tell he loved her? Then maybe Selena's brother could tell too? Maybe he wouldn't object to them being together anymore? He said, yeah, I love her. Emma bit her lip. Really? Bruno smiled. And then, as if recalling something, said, Sis, I'm sorry for what happened before. I didn't know whether my feelings for you were like family or something else. But I'm grateful you rejected me. It helped me realize who I truly love. With that, he answered a friend's call and walked off. He didn't see Emma's face twisted in grief behind him. He was done playing games. Screw revenge. Screw humiliation. He just wanted to be with Selena. He wanted to propose. To marry her. He wanted her to be his. And his alone. Thank God, it wasn't too late. Thank God Selena didn't know about his dirty little plan and the dark thoughts he once had. No one would bring it up again. Now, he finally understood his heart. He loved Selena, even if it had all started as part of some petty revenge. But over these 3 years, he'd fallen for her, bit by bit. He would give her the happiest future. To make up for the rotten beginning, so he couldn't resist opening their chat. But all their messages were gone. A wave of unease surged through him. Bruno panicked. He sent her a message, baby. And then, he saw it, a big red exclamation mark. Selena had deleted him. Chapter 17. While I was deleting Bruno, I was also preparing for my wedding. To be honest, Ethan and I were supposed to get engaged first and then slowly build our relationship. But both families took our birth charts to a master to calculate our compatibility. He declared us a match made in heaven, destined lovers across 3 lifetimes. He praised us with all kinds of flowery talk and then picked an auspicious date. Told us to get married as soon as possible. I was shoved onto the wedding track like a duck being pushed onto a perch, trying on dozens of wedding dresses in a single day. Strangely, every single one fit perfectly. I couldn't choose. Ethan laughed. Then why don't we keep them all? They're all custom made for you anyway. Huh? Just then, the wedding planner was brought in by a servant. That changed the subject. By the time we finished going through countless planning options and finally caught our breath, it was already the afternoon. Ethan scooped me off the sofa. Sweetheart, you can nap later. Let's go get our marriage certificate first. So soon? He took my hand firmly. The master picked today. The marriage registration process in Hong Kong is a bit different from the mainland. With a lawyer present, we exchanged vows and rings. The rings had been prepared long ago by Ethan. They fit perfectly. After signing the marriage certificate, his 2 friends signed as witnesses. The official seal was stamped firmly on the paper, and everyone applauded. My whole big family and his were all crammed together for a big group photo. The sense of ceremony was overwhelming. So this is what it feels like to have a relationship that everyone blesses. You can smile so freely. So this is what it feels like to walk hand in hand with your partner in broad daylight, with no secrets. That night, I posted on Moments, officially licensed now. Comments poured in immediately. Sis, stop flexing. What kind of license did you pass this time? Are you blind? A lifetime of love. This is a marriage certificate. And from Hong Kong? Selena, you really got married that far away? No, I can't take this. My goddess actually got married? Who's the groom? I asked my mom. Turns out the details are being kept secret. But we already got the invite. Wedding's next month. The marriage certificate quickly made its way to Bruno's circle. One of his friends opened the photo and joked. So this is why you've been off the grid, ran off to Hong Kong with Selena to register your marriage? Pretty romantic. Bruno's hand trembled. Cigarette burning his fingertip. He didn't even feel the pain. What did you say? He snatched the phone, staring at the screen. His knuckles turned pale from gripping it too tightly. His friend suddenly realized, wait, Selena isn't marrying you? Before he could finish the sentence, Bruno had already bolted out the door in a panic. Chapter 18. I was pretty flustered myself. That night, Ethan's family hosted a banquet. Ethan held my hand and introduced me to each relative one by one. You know how it is. As a kid, the scariest thing was being dragged around by your parents as they asked, do you know what to call them? I was at a total loss, so I just clung to Ethan tightly. Everyone in Ethan's family was really nice. Every time I greeted someone, they'd hand me a welcome gift. But there were just too many people. Eventually, Ethan wrapped his arm around my waist, letting me lean on him. He basically held me up so I could get through meeting everyone. Looking at all the smiling faces, I thought, this isn't so bad. Respectful, courteous, like equals. Isn't that what marriage is? After the passion fades, it becomes a slow and steady companionship. Both families approved. Ethan wouldn't cheat on me, wouldn't hurt me, wouldn't let me suffer, and I could keep focusing on my studies and research. When it was all over, I collapsed onto the couch, barely able to keep my eyes open. Ethan even brought out the bride price list for me to review. As I looked it over, the words began to blur and twist in front of my eyes. I ended up falling asleep just like that. So when Bruno called, it was Ethan who answered the phone for me. Chapter 19. When Bruno heard that calm, gentle male voice through the phone, his mind went blank. He gripped the steering wheel tightly, his hands shaking. Who are you? Where's Selena? Let her answer the phone. Ethan wasn't as gentle as he appeared. His possessiveness was intense, but to avoid scaring Selena, to ease her doubts, and to prevent her from second-guessing the marriage, he pretended they were just getting married for family reasons. He had waited for so many years, and he didn't want to wait anymore. That's why he wanted to get married immediately, to leave no room for anyone else. He never told Selena that he'd met Bruno more than once. Back when he found out she was studying in Hong Kong, he barely slept, rushing back after finishing work in New York. But he was too late. He went to her school with gifts, and saw her walking with another man. Smiling and laughing, he clenched his fists, but in the end, said nothing. He didn't approach. Later, many times, he went to see her, but that man was always by her side. And the way she looked at him, there was a glow in her eyes. Ethan even flew to North City, hiding in the shadows to watch her. They never broke up. They looked truly in love. So Ethan smiled bitterly and walked away. He quietly wished her happiness. He just never expected that loser to let her slip through his fingers. Now, Ethan was secretly delighted. Fate had gone in circles and brought her back to him. So, in the gentlest voice possible, he said the words that stabbed Bruno's heart the hardest. Selena's asleep in my arms. Oh, let me introduce myself. I'm her legally wedded husband. And you are? I'm her boyfriend. Bruno blurted out instinctively. He never agreed to break up. That meant Selena was still his girlfriend. Ethan chuckled softly. Sorry, but as far as I know, Selena doesn't have a boyfriend, only one husband. Chapter 20. Bruno felt like he was going insane. That night at the birthday party, he waited alone until everyone had left. Then he received the package Selena had sent. Several big boxes, all filled with the gifts he'd given her. She didn't want them anymore. He called her over and over, but the calls never went through. By the time it was past midnight, he sat slumped on the ground and finally understood. Selena didn't want him anymore either. But why? He couldn't figure it out. As he stumbled home with the boxes in his arms, a slip of paper fell out. On it were just a few words. Bruno, we're over. Not a discussion, just a notification. He staggered back home. Only then did he realize Selena had erased every trace of her existence from his life. So ruthless. That sweet, gentle girl. Why was she so decisive? Something clicked. He grabbed his phone and opened the photo album. The first thing he saw was a picture of Emma. He scrolled to the end, only to find that Selena had deleted all the photos of the two of them. She must have seen the pictures of Emma. She must have seen the notes he had written. So, she must have misunderstood his relationship with Emma. Bruno remembered something Selena once said. If I ever find out you're lying to me, I'll disappear completely. Now he understood. She knew. She knew everything. So she followed through, disappearing without giving him even the chance to explain. She gave the relationship a death sentence. Bruno desperately tried to find her, but after searching all over North City, no one knew where she'd gone. He went to her old apartment and gave a few whistles the way he always used to. No one responded. He waited until dawn, but the light in that window hadn't come on in a long, long time. He even went to Harbor City. Still, no leads. A month passed. Nothing. Suddenly, he remembered the time capsule they buried together on the mountain. Ignoring the heavy rain, he dug through the muddy earth with his bare hands. The capsule was caked in mud. He opened his. May there be no regrets to look back on. May deep love last till old age. Bruno loves Selena, now and forever. And Selena's? Completely blank. She had never imagined a future with him. Bruno could hardly believe his eyes. He clenched the paper tightly. Tears fell silently. Without Selena, the days passed in a daze. When he heard she was getting married, it felt like a knife was stabbed through his heart. He could barely stand, especially after someone else answered her phone. It was like his heart fell from the sky and shattered on the ground. He couldn't believe Selena had really gotten married. She had to be angry at him, right? So he booked a flight to Harbor City immediately. It wasn't that big. If you wanted to find someone, you probably could. But it wasn't that small either. If someone wanted to avoid you, you wouldn't even find a single strand of their hair. Chapter 21. Bruno really couldn't find me. Ethan was afraid I'd get too tired, so he hadn't let me step outside at all. He even deleted the call log from that phone call, so I had no idea it ever happened. During the wedding preparations, Ethan handled everything by himself. Half a month passed, and there were only 3 days left until the wedding. Ethan flew in all my close friends on his family's private jet. He was running around non-stop, making sure everyone was well taken care of. That evening, I told him to head home first. I wanted some girl time with my friends. He responded with a soft mem, then immediately had the staff bring over all sorts of snacks and drinks. Everyone got their own little personalized gift. But for me, he sent an exquisitely packaged dinner box. On my phone, I saw his message. Have some warm bird's nest soup. Don't let your stomach get cold. He always did things so thoughtfully. Always at the perfect moment, never overbearing, never intrusive. My friends couldn't stop praising him. Now that we know the groom is Ethan, we can finally relax. Even just from that short plane ride, we dug into everything about him. Great character, solid family background, young and capable, and most importantly, totally clean. His family motto is literally, "A man who loves his wife thrives." So our Selena is set for life. Honestly, I'm kind of excited for your married first, fall in love later story arc. Girl, you've got it all wrong. Did you see the way Ethan looks at Selena? And the way he kept the wedding so low-key? This has probably been planned for ages. Their chatter and laughter went on into the night. When I finally stepped out of my friend's room, I saw Ethan's message again. He said he'd been waiting downstairs the whole time, and once we wrapped up, to text him so he could take me home. I had just replied, "I'm done," when a hand yanked me toward the staircase. It was Bruno. Chapter 22. I never expected to run into him here. It was like seeing a plague. Instinctively, I shook off his hand and bolted for the door, but he grabbed me hard. Too strong for me to break free. He pinned me against the door, fingers gripping my arm tight, eyes filled with tangled emotions. Then, without warning, he grabbed my chin and kissed me. I smashed the food container against him. "Are you out of your mind?" My back hit the cold wall. Bruno's eyes locked on the wedding ring on my finger. He clenched his jaw, voice hoarse. "Selena, are you just trying to get back at me? You're punishing me for not going public by faking a marriage certificate?" God, the ego on this man. I sneered. "I'm really married." He closed his eyes like trying hard to stay calm. "I don't believe it. I can explain everything with Emma. It's not what you think. I've already told her, we're just like siblings now. Come back to North City. Let's go public, please." Oh, so in his mind, I left because of Emma, because I was jealous. I laughed quietly, laced with mockery. "When we were together, you thought about Emma. Now I've let you go. You come crawling back. Bruno, you really are pathetic. You only want what you can't have." His eyes shattered, voice shaking. "I like you, only you. Selena, I haven't broken up with you, so you're still my girlfriend." I curled my lip. "Didn't you want a breakup? Fine. Let me say it clearly. Bruno, you disgust me. We're over. Is that clear enough for you?" Chapter 23. Bruno's dreams and reality blurred together. His eyes turned red, face pale. "No, I won't break up. We were together for 3 years. You loved me so much. How could you bear to let go?" I couldn't be bothered to argue. I stepped past him. "Think whatever you want. I'm married now." Bruno hugged me tightly from behind, choking on his sobs. "Take the ring off, please. I'll buy you a new one. I've already prepared the wedding dress. We can get married too, okay?" I turned and slapped him. "Don't touch me." He stood there in shock, red-eyed, on the verge of crying. "I can't help it. Selena, I miss you so much. These past 2 months, I couldn't eat or sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see your face. Without you, what am I supposed to do?" Just as he reached out to hug me again, the hallway door burst open. A gust of wind flew in, and Ethan punched him straight in the face. Bruno snapped out of it and fought back. But he was no match for Ethan. It was the first time I'd seen Ethan so fierce, completely unlike his usual gentle self. Bruno got blood on his lips, utterly disheveled. As he got up to throw another punch, I rushed between them. Enough. Bruno! His fist stopped just 5 centimeters from my face. I quickly turned to check Ethan. Does it hurt? He nodded. Aggrieved. A little. Might be internal injuries. Then let's go home and get you a doctor. Bruno looked at me, stunned, his eyes bloodshot. You're defending him? I'm the one who's bleeding here. Selena, you're just going to leave me like this? I snapped. He's my husband. Of course I'll protect him. Who are you to me? Ethan took the food container from my hands and held my hand gently. Did you finish eating? I nodded. He softly added, then let's go home. Okay. He muttered again. My whole body hurts. I tugged him away. Let's get back now. As we opened the door, I didn't spare Bruno a single glance. He stood there like a broken soul. The dim hallway light shadowed his expression completely. He murmured almost inaudibly, "Weren't you the one who always cared about me the most?" Chapter 24. 2 days before the wedding, Ethan and I were rehearsing the ceremony. That evening, after our friends left, we took a walk by the river. He went to get me a hot drink. As soon as he left, I turned around and saw Bruno again. He had bandages on his forehead and the corner of his mouth, looking disheveled and beaten down. Clearly, Ethan hadn't held back. He walked up to me and spoke with difficulty. Selena, I've thought about it. Divorce him. Please. Just get a divorce. I don't mind. I won't judge you. I'll pretend this whole thing never happened. Forget everything about Hong Kong. Let's start over. It felt like I just heard the biggest joke in the world. Unless I die, I'm not getting a divorce. He acted like he didn't hear me, his tone becoming desperate. Nothing ever happened between me and Emma. Why can't you just believe me? Selena, we've known each other for 5 years. How long have you known Ethan? 2 months? You're willing to spend your life with someone you've only known 2 months? Why would you choose him over me? I cut him off. Because he doesn't lie to me. We're honest with each other. Everything is laid out in the open. No lies, no games, no adopted sister drama or twisted dynamics. Just support from our families and genuine blessings. Even if Ethan and I don't have deep love yet. So what? Life is long. Who can predict what comes next? Bruno, I told you before, if I ever found out you were lying to me, I'd walk away without hesitation. Stop clinging to me. I'm not going back. He stood there in a daze, eyes filled with despair. Then I saw Ethan approaching quickly. I ran over to him. He gently tucked my hair behind my ear and wrapped his arm around me as we headed to the car. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bruno, his messy fringe covering his eyes, his gaze slightly red. Chapter 25. The day before the wedding, Ethan wouldn't let me go out. We stayed in the study, looking through his childhood photo albums. I pointed at one of the pictures, surprised. I took a picture with you when I was that little. He was behind me, his posture protective and enclosing. That year, your mom was pregnant with you. My mom brought our whole family to visit. I was around 3 the day we arrived. You were born. They took some pictures, even made a childhood engagement pact. That early? I laughed, half exasperated. I was a literal baby. Ethan chuckled and flipped another page. I came again before I started primary school. When I was 6, you were tiny, like a little white dumpling, holding my hand and calling me brother. In the photo, I was kissing his cheek, captured right at that moment. Looking at it, my cheeks started to heat up. When you were 12, you got into acting and made me play the emperor while you were the little princess. I burst out laughing. First your little sister, then your daughter, Ethan. You've played a lot of roles. He kept flipping the album, teasing. At 18, I came back again. You were 15. No more acting. You made me take you to play video games. At that point, I became your gaming buddy. I cringed a little. I was obsessed with games then. My parents restricted me, and my brother wouldn't take me. You were my last resort. That summer, I dragged Ethan to the internet cafe every day for a month. After that, we didn't see each other again. I was busy with school. He had studies and the family business. I thought time would leave us stranded on opposite shores, yet somehow, fate tied us back together. And now we're family. It's so strange. Suddenly, I remembered what Bruno said last night, asking how I could trust Ethan with my whole life after just 2 months. But it wasn't 2 months. We've known each other for 27 years, longer than I've known Bruno. I turned my head slightly, just in time to feel Ethan's breath on my ear. The air grew tinged with something soft, warm, and intimate. I swallowed and quickly turned back. Then Ethan said softly, "Selena, thank you." "For what?" His eyes were gentle. "Thank you for marrying me." Chapter 26. On the wedding day, I was so nervous my palms were sweating. Ethan held my hand the whole time, guiding me through each step of the ceremony. Under the priest's blessing, we kissed and embraced, vowing to love each other forever. After the ceremony, I was so tired I could barely stand. He carried me into a small room to rest. "Take a nap," he said softly. I tugged at his hand. "Where are you going?" He squeezed my fingers. "Back to greet the guests and deal with a little obstacle." I gave a dazed "oh" and leaned back on the sofa, quickly dozing off. At that moment, the so-called obstacle was trying to crash the wedding outside the castle. Bruno was stopped at the entrance, desperately pleading with the security guards, claiming to be the bride's boyfriend. Some reporters nearby chimed in, "Ex-boyfriend? Man, give it up. He's got power and fame in Harbor City. How do you even compare?" "You're dreaming." "How embarrassing," Bruno explained anxiously. "I'm not the ex, we never broke up." But he couldn't find a single photo or message to prove his relationship with Selena. The crowd burst into laughter. "Dude, you're delusional. Not even ex status? That's just sad." Bruno staggered, almost falling to his knees, just in time to see Ethan walking out with a smile. "Let me in," Bruno shouted, drawing everyone's attention. But Ethan ignored him and instructed staff to hand out wedding candies. Everyone who got candy offered blessings to the happy couple. Everyone, except Bruno. He clenched his teeth, furious. "Ethan, you took advantage of me when I was down." Ethan glanced at him lazily. "You were the one who didn't cherish her. Now, you'll never get another chance." Chapter 27. Our wedding stayed trending on the hot search for 3 whole days. But on our wedding night, nothing happened. We were just too exhausted. That night, Ethan told me that Bruno had come by. I thought about it, and since the wedding was now behind us, it was time to deal with him. I have 2 million followers online as a study-focused content creator. Back when Bruno was chasing me, I used to share bits of it, but after we got together, since he didn't want to go public, I stopped posting anything about us. The fans knew that there was a guy who had chased me for years, but they never knew who it was. So I posted wedding photos on my account. My fans were stunned, couldn't believe that their favorite study blogger turned out to be the hot search bride. Then, I released screenshots of flirty messages between Bruno and Emma, including ambiguous photos and even some taunting voice notes. To protect privacy, I blurred the names and added one caption: "We're not close, please respect yourself." The Hong Kong press caught the scent instantly. Though I never mentioned Bruno by name, all the details pointed straight at him, especially the part where he tried to crash the wedding but had no proof of anything. The tabloids exploded with dramatic headlines. "Obsessive fool begs on his knees," "Spoiled rich boy tries to steal someone's wife," "Delusional lover," "Simp of the century," "Bruno wrecks Ethan's wedding." The comments section was a total roast. "Wait, that creep was Bruno? No way. Chased her for 5 years then tried to crash her wedding? Get a grip. Man. Like a clown. Disgusting. Had an inappropriate thing going with his adopted sister and still went after someone else? The blogger must have done something wrong in a past life to have him obsess over her. Don't just blame the guy. That Emma isn't innocent either, seducing her own adopted brother? If I were Bruno's mom, I'd have a heart attack from the disgrace, right? And she even sent the other girl threatening messages knowing her brother liked someone else. Utterly vile. I wonder what their parents would say if they found out their adopted daughter and biological son were having some forbidden relationship. Bruno wanted to turn me and my brother into a joke. Now, he and Emma were the real clowns. The shame? That's all on them. the public backlash spiraled fast. And no matter what the Bruno family did, they couldn't suppress it. I asked Ethan, "Was it you?" He nodded calmly. I couldn't help but laugh. "You're so devious." He raised an eyebrow, lips curling. He deserved it. Chapter 28. My brother finally found out about everything and snapped at me. "Why didn't you tell me? I would have beaten him to death, now that it was all in the past." I told him everything. He was silent for a while. I thought he was going to scold me, but instead, he frowned and asked, "Emma confessed to me? And he got revenge on me because of her? Wait, who the hell is Emma?" I burst out laughing. My brother looked confused. Back then I was so handsome. Tons of girls confessed to me. How could I remember her? Bruno hated me? Do I even know him? So after all that scheming, it turns out neither Bruno nor Emma even made a dent in my brother's memory. Absolutely ridiculous. But when I mentioned it, something seemed to click. That bastard dared to bully my little sister? He won't have it easy in North City again. He immediately started dialing contacts. From now on, cut off all cooperation with Bruno's family. Snatch up every project they have access to. Let him see what it's like to go up against a true enemy. Well then, Bruno really shot himself in the foot. Chapter 29. Before the new school term started, I took Ethan back to North City. I also arranged a little get-together with some old friends. Partway through, I went to the terrace for some air, and unexpectedly ran into Bruno again. I'd heard his family hadn't been doing well lately. Their stock price kept plummeting. They were overwhelmed. They even publicly cut ties with Emma, declaring that they would never allow a former adopted daughter to marry into the family. Emma had schemed and plotted, but in the end, all for nothing. The projects Bruno managed were also boycotted due to the negative press. And apparently, someone had ambushed and beat him up. The day he was beaten, my brother casually whistled and called me 800 times, just giggling without saying a word. Now seeing Bruno's pale, haggard face, I could only say one thing. He deserved it. But he still walked up to me, eyes slightly red. "I didn't know Emma went to provoke you. I'm sorry. I let you down during that time. I'm sorry. But Selena, nothing ever happened between me and her. Is it really unforgivable?" I glanced at him. "Bruno, while you loved her, you came to provoke me. Then when you were with me, you couldn't let go of her. In the end, you lost everything." His lips trembled. He pointed to his heart. "I swear I only love you now," I replied calmly. "If Emma came to you now, would you go back to her?" He shook his head, pained. "No, never, I swear." I smiled. "Then you understand how I feel. Just like you don't want to return to the wrong person. I won't return to you either." Tears slowly streamed down his cheeks. "But during those 5 years I loved you. I was sincere. Why do you have to get revenge and ruin me completely?" I looked at him coldly. "Because I overheard your conversation. From the very beginning, chasing me was a setup. Would a con artist ever be sincere? You even humiliated me at my birthday party. I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Why can't you handle it?" He stood stunned for a moment, then gave a bitter smile. "So this is what it feels like to be betrayed by someone you love." Then he looked up again, eyes holding a glimmer of hope. "You humiliated me so badly. Does that mean you still care? Selena, is there still a chance for us?" I raised my hand and showed him my ring. "The whole world knows I'm married. There's no possibility of divorce." Later, Bruno dug through every trash bin, trying to find the gift I threw away. He actually found it. It was a preserved flower I had made by hand. Now it was worn and ruined. I took it and threw it into the raging river, then walked past him and toward Ethan. Flowers bloom toward the sun. People move forward. Time repeats itself, and I'm ready to face the next sunny day with the one by my side.